All right, it's almost time, and I think enough of participants have come. Like I told you, just 1 minute, I would like to share my screen with. All right. So, good evening, once all, to all of you. Um, Here, I would like to start with a prayer. And since I've already thanked all of you for coming here and my team also, we would just start with the prayer first. So, we'll just close our eyes and simply be in a prayerful disposition. And I pray and I thank the Almighty for connecting all of us so that we can share our knowledge and whatever we are planning to share with our students. Thank you, Lord, for giving us that kind of insight. I thank you, God, for Happy Teachers community, all the members who are here and who are taking initiative to guide their students who are going to appear for the exam on 9th July. Would like to send positive vibration to all the students who are laid back or lazy and how the teachers are going to help them. So God, please help us in this endeavor so that we all come together and make our students do well. Dear Lord, also help us to overcome this time of pandemic and the time of lockdown so that we come to the life of normalcy and proceed as we were doing for years before this COVID-19. Thank you, God, and good evening, everyone. So, after a prayer session, I would like to introduce myself. Those who've already attended my first, second, and third webinar, you know, I'm Pankil Priya. Well, now I'd like to introduce myself once again. I'm Pankil Priya. I belong to Ludhiana. I'm working in Sacred Heart Convent Senior Secondary School, Sarabanagar, Ludhiana for last 20 years. And I have a passion for subject business studies. So, the thing is like that I'm a resource person for you today, nothing at all. I am a teacher who's sharing my bit of knowledge so that we can make this a better task or better endeavor so that our students, the complete student community gains out of us. With the introduction, I'd like to start something very special for you people. I see last time someone had texted me and asked that, ma'am, we are taking so much of initiative and we are doing so much for our students and the modern students. Will they understand what we are going through and what we are doing for our children? So I told her, I said, yes, ma'am, they will acknowledge. Not now, maybe later stage, they will acknowledge because they would thank their teachers for whatever they have done. So today, I would like to talk about the same thing. I would like to talk about a book called 1 Minute Teacher by Spencer Johnson. He's Dr. Spencer Johnson. He wrote a book called 1 Minute Teacher. This book talks about the teacher setting up goals in 1 minute with 1 minute praise, 1 minute recoveries, and how to actually relate this complete thing to your students. So it's very important for our teacher community that what we do is we be 1 minute teachers and we guide our students and let them be teachers for themselves. So when we talk about being 1 minute teacher, the first thing comes out into our mind is who is actually a teacher. So in our real life, we have three teachers. One is our mother, who teaches us every day, every time, whatever we do. She teaches us the things which are happening within the house. Father, who teaches us how to fight with people outside or makes us a fighter, you know, like sometimes how to go ahead with the external environment. And then there is a teacher. Teacher is like us, our community. So we are the people, the third people in the life. So once children are away from their mother and father, they come to their teacher for their guidance. Every one of us is both student and a teacher. I am a student. Why? Because many times my students teach me new ways of doing things. They do something creative and they come to me and then I learn, oh my God, I could have done things better like this. So we're both student and a teacher. And actually, if we realize, if we make our students how to teach, you know, if we make them learn, it will be just a miraculous thing happening with our students. They would be able to adapt things better. They'll be able to do things in a much better manner. So every one of us, both student and a teacher, and what we need to do is that we need to know how we are going to relate to our children. So what we need to know is that there are two types of teacher, and you need to know which one are you. So the two types of teacher are, first one is who teaches, and the second one is who teaches to help to teach. Like I told you, if we teach our children how to actually, teach themselves, it will be for their benefit. If you give hungry man a fish to eat, he'll have his food for the day. But if you teach him how to fish, he'll have food for the lifetime. And that's so very true. If we teach our children how to teach themselves, to learn, to adapt, to do things, for a lifetime, they'll be thankful to us. They will acknowledge us for the very lifetime. So, when we talk about this teaching process, or when we talk about the hungry man, I'm going to talk about that. Do you also have a hunger or thirst of learning? And if you have, your children will always have, your students will always have, because they've seen you as a role model, and they will also grasp things from you because you're a role model for them. So the moment this hunger or thirst of learning comes into the mind, what we're going to give to our children is that I have I've picked up few things from the book to make my teachers acquainted with things, and there are three techniques. The first technique, which I'm going to talk about, is about setting 1 minute goal. You would be wondering that why I'm talking about setting 1 minute goal. See, I have set so many goals. These are my cards which I started way back to 2018, 19. Whatever I achieve, I just make it in another color. That is, this is achieved, this is yet to be achieved. These are the, and I write here, these are the goals, goal number 3, goal number 4. So make a card, write down the goal, color them with your favorite color, write good vibes, take 1 minute, as many times in a day, stop, look at them, and read the goal. Keep on reading the goal. It's very, very important, because that reminds you that you are a 1 minute teacher with 1 minute goal, and your students are going to be 1 minute students with 1 minute goal, because you're teaching them to be teacher with the same intention. Next is 1 minute praise. Now, when you give 1 minute praise to yourself or to the students, what happens? Simple praise in the class, the children are attention seeker. They want to attract your attention. Sometimes they do funny things, sometimes they do naughty things to attract your attention. So when they want to grab your attention and you try to give them 100%, or you be attentive to them, or you throw them out of the class, do anything, they feel that they have been noticed. Similarly, you give yourself a praise, 1 minute praise. So if you have set your goal and you have achieved it even a wee bit, approximately right, if you have achieved it a little more, perfectly right. If you have achieved it more, it's right. And if it's done with, it is goal achieved, goal determined, you've done everything. So praise yourself with everything, whatever you're doing. So if you're going online, praise yourself. Thank God I'm doing online services for my students. I'm going for Zoom. I'm learning the PPTs. You've been doing that commendable job in various groups, sharing PPTs and all. So give yourself a praise. And if nobody else does it, give it yourself. So I thank myself. Do it in the group. I thank myself for doing this endeavor, that I have shared this particular kind of PPT. People will acknowledge it. And the moment people acknowledge, you'll realize it actually increases your dopamine. You feel good about it. Positive vibes will come. Next is using 1 minute recoveries. Now, what we talk about 1 minute recoveries, sometimes we may not be able to achieve the goals. So what do? We fumble. We have to take care of that fumbling part. So what we have to do is we have to make 1 minute recoveries. How we make 1 minute recoveries? First, in case if you're unable to achieve your goal, what you're going to do is you're going to look for your shortcomings. You don't have to ignore them. You don't have to fumble, like I told you. You have to gear up and you have to redo, because the broken goal can always be restarted or remended. Right? So you need to remend yourself, you need to redo yourself, and you need to achieve your goal. So that's called the recovery mode for everyone. Recover your goal. So first we set the goal. Second, what we do is we praise ourselves. Third, what we do is we try to recover the goals which we had not achieved. Now, when we talk about learning, see, learning is more fun when we are able to teach ourselves. You all people joined my first, second, third webinar because we were learning from each other. And it was so much fun. We were doing interactive session. Now, today's webinar is not at all about interaction. It's just a little bit of interaction will happen right at the end. I don't have that kind of riddles for you to do for today's session. So what we're doing is we're learning in a different way. But when we learned that way, you really liked the idea. And many of you actually floated the same idea in your various groups and in your classes. So lovely it is. Praise yourself. Learning is more fun when we are able to teach ourselves that yes, we are all learning. Next is that when we talk about learning part, we always need to know that I have to compete only with myself. I don't have any other competitor. Don't get into that fallacy or that kind of competition that yeah, that teacher is doing better. I'm not able to do it anytime. It's never late to learn. So I always make it my fundamental and I make it very clear that I cooperate with others and I compete with myself. With this, I would like to tell you, and this was there somewhere in the CBSE latest circular also, CBSE latest circular also, that start with an anecdote when you go to the class. So I'm not starting with the anecdote. I'm just telling you something which happened in my real life. While I was studying in my school, we had this girl who had a farmhouse, and they used to have cockfights every Saturday. So every time she used to have that kind of a competition, she used to come back on Monday and she used to brag every time, oh, we won, and they used to feel pride in that, and we used to get very intrigued by why she's talking like that. So next time what we did was we told her that please invite us over for that cockfight in the evening, and we would like to see what happens. I hope you're not telling us lies. So it happened the same way that on the next Saturday we went there and the cockfight was happening and again the cock won. And ultimately, I got so curious. I went and I asked her dad. I said, Uncle, how come that every time, every time, every time your cock wins, this one wins? He told that what we do is whenever I go and buy a cock for fighting, I put him in a room and put a mirror in front. The cock for 1 week gets trained there, keeps on fighting with the mirror, and ultimately when it comes out, it knows that it's still fighting with himself and there's nobody else in the ground. So that cock finds himself as the competition and fights. I compete with myself, and that's why I always end up winning. So no competition. Right. Enough of a relation of 1 minute teacher. I hope you people read this book. It's a very beautiful book. And please set out your 1 minute goal, because if you set out your 1 minute goal and your behavior and goal match, that means you're winning. Win-win situation. You give 1 minute praise and that's your success. But in case your behavior does not match with goal, you don't lose, you don't fail. Neither do your students. What you do is you just give 1 minute recovery time. You talk about why you use 1 minute recovery time and you restart, and then you go back to setting of goals again. Like I said, we've just talked about 1 minute teacher praising everything. Let's start with the Vision 9 July, and then you will relate that why did I talk about 1 minute teacher and what I'm going to talk about in Vision 9 July. Why we talked about 1 minute teacher? Because our students are lazing around for almost 1 month. You will keep on telling them to study, they will not gear up. And ultimately, you will feel demotivated about it. So, gear yourself up, gear your students up, be 1 minute teachers, be ready, and get set and go. So we start with Vision 9 July 2020. First thing I'm going to share with you is division of chapters. Now, what we are talking about is we are talking about the 12 chapters of our business studies, book 1 and book 2. How are you going to start your revision with your children? Just sharing my thought process, nothing beyond that. We will start with three kinds of children. See, there are children who love to score 10%. There are children who are average scorer and there are low scorer. We don't segregate them in class, but the intention here is that as a teacher, you know that from whom can you get 100 out of 100. So what you have to do is divide the chapter accordingly. To the first lot, give the chapter as per the weightage. Like I have done for 10% people, First, I'm going to teach them is 6th, 7th, and 8th chapter, that is on the first priority list. Then I'm going to go to first, second, and third chapter, that is on second priority list. Then I'm going to talk about 9th and 10th chapter, then 11th and 12th chapter. This is according to weightage 20, 16, 15, 15, and then and last planning and organizing, that is for 14 months. Now, please get it very clear. You would be wondering that organizing is the most difficult chapter. Why I've left it for last? I've left it for last because maximum confusing case studies come from that chapter, usually between delegation, decentralization, or functional or divisional structure. So let the child do the revision for that chapter. Keep it for the last so that it is fresh in his mind before he starts the final revision. This is segregation on the basis of testing you will be doing with your students. Similarly, for average scorer, we are trying to wind off the book one first, then we are taking up first, second, third chapter, then we'll take up next is planning, and then we've segregated it in different manners and planning, controlling, and so on. Similarly, for low scorers, please make them do first the chapters with least weighted so that they get motivated to do more. That's my strategy. I always use it like that. Like, for example, do controlling first. After controlling, come back to next is you talk about planning, right? So what you are doing is once you do controlling or you do consumer protection or you do anything or maybe consumer protection, whatever you feel. So those small chapters you can take, whatever you feel your child is good with. Like here I have taken consumer protection, then I have taken out here is controlling, and then I have taken is planning. So that's for you to decide how you're going to go about with it and which way you're going to divide the chapter. After that, after screening the thing with chapter-wide division, now I'm going to come topic-wise segregation of chapter in the topics. How we're going to do it topic-wise? I've made a different PowerPoint for it and different way of doing things. So the first thing what I'm going to do is chapter-wise segregation is we're going to segregate on the basis of process. Planning, organizing, staffing, and then you have selection, then controlling, and then trading procedure. These are the major process which keep on coming in the exam. So I have segregated my chapter according to that. Now, very simple. If you have any other chapter which you can think has process and is important, you can add. That is as per your own dexterity. That is your skill. You do it as per your liking. No problems at all. Next, after segregating the chapter process-wise, we'll do it features-wise. So, which chapters have the features? Now, you note down all the chapters having features because principles of management features are not directly given, but nature is feature. So, we can use accordingly and we can go on along with the completing till marketing. You can give the features out there. If you feel any other chapter also has major features which are being asked in the exam, CBSE, you're welcome to add that on. I could understand these many and you can please give me feedback so that I also add on more for benefit of my children. Next we go ahead is with limitations. So limitations, major, planning, controlling, and then we have limitations of marketing. Now not complete limitation, there are some subtopics which has limitations, so you can take up the topics from there and tell the children that these are the basic chapters which have limitations. Next we go importance wise. Importance again, first chapter like coordination has importance and the the basic chapter management has importance. So you can segregate important wise and you can give them a complete worksheet on which topics have, which chapters have importance as a topic. Next we go on to is, after that, we're going to talk about types. So like example, planning has types of plans. Then you talk about organizing, it has functional and divisional structure, that is type, formal and informal organization, that is again type. So we can do the segregation according to the types. And that is for again you to decide. If you have any other add-on, please go ahead with it. Like financial market, you may do something else also. You're welcome to do, go ahead with it. But this is how we divide according to the types. Next we go on to is, next topic is, I'll just move the slide. We have on the basis of factors. Now, in business environment, factors are steeple. Their dimension, their elements as well as factors. So you can take this as steeple as one of the topic. Then you have financial management has like all factors only. All topics have different types of factors. You can give good drilling to your children about those factors. Then marketing again has pricing factors, physical distribution factors. So all factors can be easily dealt with in a flow chart or whichever way you like. Next we come to is functions. So when we talk about functions, you can talk about the functions of management, that is POSCO. Then you can talk about functions in terms of directing. Those supervision, yeah, supervisor ka function is no more there in the syllabus, but then top, middle and lower level functions are there. So we can take up that also. Then we can take functions of financial market, stock market has function. That's how we can go. Marketing has so many functions, 14 functions are there. So you can accordingly segregate. Enough of segregation on the basis the chapter has been segregated according to the topics. Enough of doing that. Next we come to how we frame the questions for our children, because very soon, that is on 9 July, they have to appear for the exam. So we need to be question ready. And how do we start framing the question? Now I have another technique. First we'll talk about objective type question. So I have picked up here. See, I've deliberately kept my NCRT with me. I'm going to talk about topic wise question. I'm going to talk about heading wise question, point wise question, example wise question, board questions, that is case studies which have come in the previous year. Like if pick up topic wise, I'm picking up simple topic wise question on importance of management. Simple. So first topic is, I'll ask my students to write topic, importance of management, write down all the 5 points. Now, if I want to ask heading wise, how I'm going to ask heading wise? I can give a particular heading. Please write how management creates a dynamic organization and helps in achieving personal objective. Heading wise. Now I'm giving them point wise. How I'm going to give them point wise? Within that heading, that is creates dynamic organization, I have something out here like management helps people to adapt to these changes so that the organization is able to maintain its competitive edge. See, this I have given point wise. A point picked up from there, identify the point of importance of management. You can ask another question, like for example, giving you an example, when you talk about importance of management, on page number 12, we have something to do with the achieving of development of society. When we talk about achieving social goals, okay. So what you can do is the same from social objective. You can pick up a case study there and frame from example like it helps to provide good quality product and services and create employment for disabled people. Identify the point of importance of management. We're not talking about objectives, we're talking about importance of management. So that's how you can frame your question. Then board questions are also there. One more thing I would like to tell is that we can frame question from the top end and the tail end. So top end, like for example, importance of management has a question. Management is universal activity that is integral to any organization. First 3 lines of your importance of management. So that's how you can pick up the topic when you talk about objective type questions. Okay. Next we have is after objective type questions, we are going to talk about the next topic. The next topic talks about what is a level or type of test questions you can give. Level 1 is simple. Tell them to learn one chapter, give direct question. Okay, explain importance of management, explain features of management, explain nature of management as science, direct question. Next is application question. Like for example, anything minus management is equal to nothing. Comment. Comment is, this talks about importance of management and you start writing the question. And level 3 is the source-based question. I've been talking about source-based for a very long time. So you take up the case studies. Comparatively to next year, we have more case studies this year. So you can take previous year's question paper and ask students to solve the case studies. All right. After level type test question, I have made some questions for you from chapter of organizing. I have framed objective type questions and there are 97 questions I framed. From each topic, like I'll just tell you, starting with the first one, we are going to talk about organizational structure. Then I have here functional structure, if you can see. Then I have here divisional structure. Then on the next slide, I have again, next slide, I have formal organization, informal organization, delegation, decentralization. So these questions are there. There are MCQs. There are MCQs, there are true and false, there are fill in the blanks. Dear teachers, I think we are only 1 minute left for the meeting to get over. Please rejoin on the same link. So I'll just keep on speaking, and in case if it stops, please rejoin on the same link. Right? So these are the kind of questions which are there. I have framed 97 questions. Can you believe from every line, now once a child answers 97 questions, he'll be ready with the chapter. There is nothing else to be done about it. Right. So we come back again. I think it's almost time, and the meeting is getting over, if I'm not mistaken. No, we have time. Okay, I'll go ahead with the. Do we have time? Yeah. Okay, we'll go ahead with it. So next is we're going to talk about the case study type of question. These are your questions which are given in different books. So now here there's a case study out here, and if you just see, many times I tell you that. What you have to do first is read the question. So what is the question which says here in the first case study? Identify the organizational structure of roasted coffee cooperation. पहले क्या आ गया? What is the first thing which is come in first is organizational structure. So we are segregating the whole case study on basis of only one chapter, organizing, and it is organizational structure which is talked about. And there are only two organizational structures, segregation on that basis. So now what you've done is on the basis of question, now you read the case study, identify which structure and give the advantage. That's how case study is done, and I always find it easier. Time is over. I think we'll rejoin. We could have gone by the answer divisional structure, but they are talking about concept. So let's see, what does it say? It talks about smooth running of the restaurant. She also gave him authority to hire. So something to do with authority is there, and train the staff as per requirement. Kavita Ghai was satisfied with the work of Nikhil Gupta and was able to open other branches. So see, if you talk about what is she doing, she's sharing her work with someone. She's sharing her work so that things go on smoothly, and she's able to work on a larger scale. So that is what we talk about is delegation. This part is delegation, so we can always talk about it in the same manner. Next, we go to the next slide. So that's how you can solve the case studies. We have 5 tips for your students, as well as like for my students, I'll be sharing with them tomorrow. So I have 5 tips with you. I'm sharing something which I'm going to share with my students tomorrow. So these are the 5 tips. First is you plan schedule. That schedule should be related to testing, as well as plan schedule that how you're going to answer your questions by attempting paper. Revise mind maps, solve previous year's question paper, solve CBSE sample papers, stick to NCRT. So once you do all these things, I'll start with the plan schedule first. Now, when I talk about plan schedule, I have here section A, 20 minutes, that's your paper. 15 minutes for reading, 20 minutes for section A, section B, 35 minutes, section C, 35 minutes, D, 35 minutes, E, 40 minutes, and then 15 minutes for revision. So this is the time schedule for attempting paper. You can change as per your students as you like. You want to give 20 minutes for revision, you can give 20 minutes for revision as you like it. And there's some problem with this one. Voice nahi aa rahi. They're not able to hear. All right, time schedule for attempting the paper. Next we come to is next slide talks about is scheduling of the paper. So what I have done is I've started the schedule of the paper from 8th of June. Now what we are going to do is I have divided the work here. Since like 8th of June, what I've started is I've started with the book 2, and then I've come down to book 1. So what we have done is first chapter divided into 2 halves, and then I've given MCQ test. Then again next chapter divided into 2 parts. Then again MCQ test. Then next chapter divided consumer protection, no requirement for dividing it, and MCQs can be tested along with it. Then next chapter again divided into 2 parts, and then given MCQ. That is to do with your book. Book 1, usually we test our children a lot, and they are already aware of the chapters. So you can give one day for book one and then next day for MCQ. So two revisions. Again, book one, first chapter, MCQ, second chapter, MCQ, third chapter, MCQ, fourth chapter, MCQ, and so on. And then you can give a test. Either you can give book wise, like book two, once you wind off, then you can give a test, or you can give a full syllabus test, and then 2 days are left for revision. So this time schedule is prepared by me for my students. You can prepare similar kind of time schedule and give it to your students. You can make changes as per your requirement. So that is another way of getting 10% marks for your boards. Next, after scheduling like this, we make mind maps. See, if you can see this mind map, you'll find it very vague. I have the mind map out here. I have made it on a sheet. You can tell your children to make it on any sheet, not to make it so fluorescent and so beautiful. They can make it as they like, right? And one place they can write features, next they can write limitation, like I've written process out here, I've written importance out here, and types of plans. Now, once they sit down to revise, what they have to do is, like for example, they are revising the features. They'll see the features, revise. Okay, revision done, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. First revision done, tick mark here. You have, if you can see, there are lines out here. Those are for revision. And here there are some boxes in these. There are some boxes, revision. Number of time you revise a topic. So many number of times you tick mark so that it's easier for you to do the chapter. You'll be wondering, I might have prepared this mind map for you people for this presentation. Not at all. I already do the same thing with my children, and my book is full of these stick pads, you know. And the first day I go to the classes, I tell them, please buy colored pen, please buy stick pads, and please buy highlighters, because I will be teaching you in a different manner. So you can do the same thing. Now is not the time, but whenever you go to the class, for time being, you can just tell them this is how they can revise by writing on a sheet and making a mind map. Simple. Next, we come to the next slide. This is how to attempt case studies. This I elaborated already. I've given it in a format. Read the question first, then read the case study, eliminate and identify on the basis of keywords, eliminate and identify on the basis of functions, like for which function. So there are only 5 functions: POSCO, planning, organizing, staffing, directing, controlling. Like I told you about concept, there are a few concepts: delegation, decentralization, coordination, and so on. Process, there were just 5 processes. We've already done factors, we've already done. So that's how they can attempt their case studies, in case if you want to take right time of revision with them in this manner. Next we come to is the attempting of paper. Now when we talk about attempting of paper, there are some do's and don'ts. Any teacher would like to share their do's and don'ts, you're welcome to do that. You can just send it to me, and when this webinar will be uploaded on YouTube, I'll give right there, courtesy, Madam So-and-so has suggested more do's and don'ts for the attempting of the paper. Like for example, if I have given here 15 minutes is reading time, you do that. Then retain all points out here. Mind map, apne dimag mein rakhiye, keep it in your mind. After 15 minutes, write down the main points on the last page, because there are some case studies which you tend to forget, or some points you tend to forget. So immediately the moment you're asked to write down the answer sheet, you can open your answer sheet. Please write on the last page. Nothing is going to happen. Nobody is going to question you why you're writing the answer. You can just simply write down the answers, whichever you feel like. Then write the answer in points. Follow sequence. Divide time section wise. I've already done that for you in the schedule planning. If you don't know any answer, leave it for last. You can tell your students to leave it for last. Why? Because once they finish off with their answering of all the question, and at the time of revision, what they can do is they can simply give an example, and with that example, they can explain that topic. Anything to do with the topic, they can explain. So if you don't know answer, leave it for last. Write headings in capital. Explain answers. And now what you have to do is, keeping the keywords, you have to underline the keywords. Okay, and leave last 15 minutes for revision. I've already told you. And now answer the unmarked or left question which was not answered. In the center one, there's no audio. And then you can use smooth pen to write. Please do not take any new pen to answer your examinations, right? Okay, then don'ts are don't leave any question unattempted. Don't write all the headings first and then explain. So you have to write the heading and explanation side by side. Don't use colored pen, pencils, or any brand new pen. Now, when you talk about colored pens and pencils, last year we got some paper to check where some child had written headings with green pen. We had to make special note to CBSE that this child has written with green pen. Kindly check this answer sheet. Why? Because it can be questionable anytime, that it can be an indication by the particular teacher to the child that if you write like this and if I happen to check your paper, I'll give you extra marks. So CBSE is very cautious about it. You have to be very clear. Don't tell your child, don't tell your children to write with or students to write with any kind of colored pen. That's just for making mind maps. Okay, that's to do with the attempting of the paper. We've discussed everything. In case if you have any queries, you can just note them down and send it to my admin. I'll immediately get back to you. Now talking about the project work. I have some projects with me, and I can show you the project work on the PPT out here also, and then I can show you the project work later on also. So starting with the project work, what is required? This was another question which was continuously being asked, that ma'am, what are we supposed to do with the project work? It is art integrated now. It is to be done with various subjects. So basic requirement for any project is you need to have proper thick project sheets. So sometimes you have these cartridge sheets kind of a thing. They are ruled on one side and they are blank on the other. So you can use those sheets. Then you can make borders with tapes or border any kind. Please use stencils to write down the headings. Use colored pens. Use pictures, graphs, pie charts. Use questionnaires, surveys, forms for research work. Then you can also, what you can do is you can refer NCRT for writing material and make a very beautiful cover page. If you just see the PPT I've shown you, these are the cover page, various cover page of my projects which just children submitted last year. This year, that means 2019-20 session, those were submitted. Now coming to, if you can see, I've highlighted it for you. These are the cover pages they made. So you can ask them to make creative. Now see, this is art integrated itself. And with that integration, you can also use invariably different subjects along with it. Like this time, there was a kind of a suggestion that accountancy project should go with the business studies project and economics also. So you can relate it when you have pie charts and when you have different things. Right, I'm just guiding, ma'am. Priya, ma'am, I'm just guiding. I'm coming next to the stock exchange project only. I'll be talking about all the 4 projects which you're going to get. So see, we have in acknowledgement, we have index, we have, then you have your certificate also. All has been done properly by the student. So these are the basic requirements for the project to be done. Next, we come to different types of project. I'll start with the first project is on marketing. There are 50 products which are given in the CBSE project work book. You can pick up any of the 50 products. If you have a class of 50 students, give all of them marketing project and tell them to make 50 different products. And you have to tell them that they are launching this product in the market. We have been doing it, like my children have done is they have launched shampoo, they have launched shoes. So like for example, someone who started with shoes, what he did was the child was asked to make on ice cream sticks various kind of shoes. So that is again art integrated work, right? That has already been done by my students. You can also integrate if you wish to, and if you have any novice ideas, you please come and share it with me. So 50 products, make a logo. Then what you have to do is after making the logo, you have to create a proper tagline. You have to make a name, get a name for the product, create a brand name, then use 4 Ps, and then you can use your USP, compare it with different competitors, use 3D pictures, and make a very beautiful cover page and present your project. So you can paste pictures as you like. After marketing, next we come to is next project we have is financial markets. That is your stock exchange. Now, please, somebody asked me for how to go about with stock exchange. So first thing, for all kinds of project, you have to refer to your NCRT for basic information. Getting basic information from there, you paste pictures. You tell the students to paste picture from the from net. There are various type of pictures, figures on net about SEBI, about the BSE, Bombay Stock Exchange, and the share price rise, fall. They can follow economic times for a week time also, or for a month, something like that. And they can write there that this is the observation I have done. They can make a graph, pie chart with it. They can make anything. Then you can tell them to invest in 5 companies, make investment in 5 companies portfolios, and what return did they observe. That can be a fictitious way of doing things. Then you have to write information about these 5 companies, whether they are blue chip companies or not, and why did you invest in them. And after that, you can share your analysis. You can show the analysis of uh, the price change, the rise in price, the fall, what was the phase, bullish phase or bearish phase in the market. All you can do, all these things can be explained. Then you have to make a list of 25 companies, analyzing their complete for almost a month or something like that, how they were working for almost 1 month. So you can make it 1 month, or you can make it for one fortnightly, you can make it for 1 week, whichever way you like. So that kind of thing you can prepare. Again, request they pick up things from NCRT, and after picking up things from NCRT, major information, uh, how then yeah, you can talk about buying and selling of shares. That is in the trading procedure. See, I'm telling you continuously, please write down NCRT. You have to write about Nifty, you have to write about BSE, you have to write about Sensex, and you can tell a child to buy shares. I gave in the 4th point that tell child to invest in 5 different companies, fictitious buying and selling of shares. So this kind of discussion can always be done, and then you can guide them to write it better, make a beautiful cover page, and stick as many pictures as they can. So that's how we go ahead with the uh, financial markets. And see, I've made a separate cover page also. We have different cover pages out, how children made the project. I've given you acknowledgement out here. Then I'm just showing you how they made the acknowledgement, and they made the certificate out here. It's a creative way of doing things. Some child has done like that. They prepared index in this manner. They started with the concept, whatever they felt like, and the pictures are there, and then the functions of financial market and everything is being covered out here. If you can see, you can make a project on COVID-19 with stock exchange also. I've given in the end of this PPT. I'll just be discussing what all possible topics. Profit and loss incurred in the various companies. See, you can see all these things coming, and they've made a different type of analysis. This is analysis of 25 companies. Again, there was something to do with the 5 companies here. You'll see how they invested, what was a share rise in price, fall, or whatever it was, right? The various companies information, which companies did the child invest in. Then there's conclusion, what did he derive from it, and that's how. And then there's bibliography. And then there's bibliography, yeah, right? Bibliography is there, right? Of course, there should be no plagiarism. Should not copy direct content from the internet, so that there is no problem later on. Anyone can question. Next, from financial market we move on to business environment. Now, again, business environment, there are many topics, like it is about ban on polythene bags, then working women, and then it is role of women in the changing environment. Then it is about child labor, and they start talking about the electronic gadgets. So many topics are there. You can divide and give any 6 children different topics and tell them to prepare a particular project. So choose a topic, gather information. Of course, for business environment, major information you'll gather is from the online portal. Like for example, ban on polythene bags. So what kind of different types of bags are there? They can stick a plastic bag, paper bag. They can stick even cloth bag out there, and they can show small. They can make small bags with Fevicol or something like that. My children have been doing it, so that's how I know. I learned it from my children, and it was their creativity. So they can gather information from online portals. They can of course create a different type of, they can make a particular data and make a comparative analysis, that which particular kind of bags had more sale in comparison to the other ones. So That kind of comparison can be made about the usage, consumption, like role of women. You can take 25 women, you can give them names of 25 top-notch women who are doing good, like Indra Nui, Kiran Majumdar, and all, and they can write about them and how they are leading their life. So this is how role of women can also be very important. Like you can tell them to write about their mothers also. Why? Because that will involve them in the family. So that's the way to encourage them to get acquainted with their project, and it will be. I did the same thing with business environment. I told them to write about the role of women only in Ludhiana, the business tycoons, the female business tycoons of Ludhiana. And it was like lovely project when they talked about all women in Ludhiana. And then I told them, talk about your mother, talk about the entrepreneurs at home. It worked out really well. Next is principles of management. Now, this project, I gave it in a very different manner to my children. I think I discussed it in the second webinar, just a little bit of it. Someone had asked a query. What I did was, we talked to some people in the industry, various people. I talked to some hotel people, some people who had their retail shops, and then I sent my children for on-job training there. That was something like, you can say they went for a training program, though training is not allowed for these children, but they just were getting acquainted with the working scenario. It was, no money was paid to them, but they just got the awareness that how this thing has to be done. So they went to that particular company and they made an analysis, asked the employees whether the various principles are being followed or not. Then they saw their own observation. They made a particular observation chart with yes and no. Then they made various kind of graphs. They also made pie charts showing that which principles are being followed, which are not being followed, and what are the drawbacks because of which principle is being followed excessively, which is being followed less. So, and every time one particular company is given, like we don't use, I usually don't give them KFC, McDonald's, and the companies which are mentioned in the projects. Otherwise, what I do is I give them different companies. So, like this child has made on CCD. So there are children who have made principles of management project on their own companies. I usually tell them, if you have your own company, then you can just work on your own company. And actually in your own company, are you using all 14 principles of management or not, right? So this is how we do the various project. This is principles of management, and again I'm running a PPT showing you this principles of management project. See, you can see how children beautifully they have done. They've made different pictures out here, and all things are written on a separate. Those circles, if you can sing, okay. If you're not giving POM, you can give scientific management. Same way, any topic you can give. You can relate to anything. That is not a problem. Somebody raise a query that they are not giving principles of management. Principles of management is a very important project. So continuously, if you can see, the child has made a project with different format, somewhere square, circle. It's looking so lucrative and so beautiful. And this is how they will learn to make real life projects when they do their own business and they have to submit a project to the bank. They can make beautiful projects out of it. So that's how it can be a very lucrative proposition. Right. So after talking about the projects, uh, we are like principles of management I've already talked about. I've talked about all the projects. Like I was talking that somebody asked me that can we give something related to COVID-19 out here? Yes, why not? What you can do is you can give them a project on stock exchange and talk about the price rise or fall in the share market, pre-lockdown and post-lockdown. What was the movement? You can give a project on principles of management. Everything came on stock. Then you can give something to do with the marketing. What new business have come out? So you can give new products also. Like for example, one of the most important was Zoom. How the CEO of Zoom has his shares have increased and his net worth has increased. So all these things can be easily explained, and you can use any kind of topic. But major four topics are these. Four chapters are these. That is marketing, financial market, business environment, and principles of management. Rest of the chapters I have not seen to be given as project. So please adhere to the guidelines of CPSC, and we still have some time because very soon they're going to come out with something new about the projects. So you can always think it on those guidelines. We can talk about it sometimes later on. Also, see, CBSE talked about integrated program out here. Yeah, 70 topics. Yeah, you can give, yeah, for sure, you can give 70. Somebody talked about, somebody's asking question. Just last point, and then I'll answer all the questions. Just 1 minute. See, CBSE gave in the circular about the art integrated projects, right? Now you can give art integrated projects. I'm already giving it. All you have to do is just take initiative and start with it anytime. Can we have people for question? And in case, dear teachers, you have queries and I'm unable to answer, time or session logs out because there is just 9 minutes. In case if there are some queries still left unanswered, please join back. I'll still answer them for next 10-15 minutes. So please come out with your queries. If there are anything I can share with you or I can help to resolve your problem, I'd be very happy to do that.